Hey guys, what's going on? Kulprit here, and welcome to my new kind of mini-series, Road to BF4. We're quickly approaching that. I know some of you guys might not think so, but some of us that are kind of busy and things, fall's going to be here really quick. It's already July. It's going by fast. Beta is rumored maybe for September. Once that kicks off, things are going to go nuts. I know that time after beta to release is going to feel like, you know, forever, but for all intents and purposes, Battlefield 4 is very much right on the horizon. It's going to be relatively quickly. I'm kind of hoping we're due for another info dump type things where, you know, they kind of keep us on the hook. That would be smart on their part. Maybe thinking a monthly type of thing as we lead in. That would be great. So hopefully we'll get some new information here soon. Until then, I wanted to kind of do a little series, and, you know, one I'm obviously calling Road to Battlefield 4, where I talk about some of the bigger concepts and things of how I think it's going to shake out and affect gameplay, because that's really what it comes down to. So today I wanted to kick off with probably the biggest one, and probably the one that I'm most excited about. I have concerns, obviously, I always do, you guys know that, but one I think is going to shape the gameplay of Battlefield 4 the biggest, and that is Levolution, and that's their word basically for dynamic maps, dynamic environments. And this is something you guys know I've done videos on. I've talked about dynamic maps a lot. They've just coined the term Levolution, which is pretty cool. I like the term. It kind of separates Battlefield 4 from, as we know, Modern Warfare. Call of Duty is also touting out dynamic maps, so this just kind of gives a little difference between the two. And I feel like it does give a good attitude, you know, evolution. It works pretty good. It's kind of cheesy, but it works. So I wanted to kind of talk about, just discuss some things. I wanted to keep this more of an open discussion, so guys, feel free in the comments to talk to me. Let me know what you think. Now, with that said, I said, this is a series. Now, I have a little list on my phone as I'm going about my day. I kind of, you know, I'm always thinking about, you know, Battlefield particularly and other things. So I just jot down little concepts for videos. So I have a nice little list right now of probably about 10 concepts I want to talk about in this series. I'm hoping this is going to kind of help me update more frequently with you guys, where I could sit down, I can do like 5 videos at once and then just publish them for you guys as the week goes on. So, but listen, in the comments, let me know if there's any concepts, ideas, information we have on Battlefield 4 that you want to hear me discuss, hear my thoughts on, and more particularly open a discussion with you guys, because I know that I'm not as up on all that information that came out as probably a lot of you guys are. So I'm looking for you guys to inform me, correct me, that type of things. But mostly I'm looking to start a discussion because I know a lot of you guys are really good gamers, particularly really big Battlefield gamers. So I want to get hyped up. I want to get excited. I want to get into the nuts and bolts a little bit. So let's talk about some of these bigger concepts, and then we'll kind of start a discussion in the comments talking about some of the more finer details. So without any more delay, let's get into Levolution dynamic maps. Basically, you know, in my opinion, obviously they showed us the skyscraper falling. That's what everybody thinks about when you say Levolution dynamic maps. Obviously, that was kind of their showpiece, their big item, you know, shiny object that everybody's supposed to drool over. And it was cool, man. I'm not gonna lie, I had to change my pants after that too. But for me, it's not really that much about that. For me, dynamic maps and whether it's going to work or fail is going to be in the details. You know, the old saying, devil is in the details. Well, you know, balance is in the details, and gameplay is in the details, and it's going to be in the smaller things, the kind of nuanced environmental things. It's less about the skyscraper falling. It's more about the littler things. And we've heard discussion on, you know, metal detectors, the bollards on the bridges. I'm going to get into that specifically. Fire alarms and things like this, smoke alarms. And we saw the security grading on the shops that can go up and down, and that's going to obviously affect routes and map flow. And that, I think, is what's really going to determine if this whole Levolution thing works or not. Sure, we've heard really cool concepts. Obviously, we see the skyscraper falling. And, you know, listen, I hesitated at first when I saw this, because obviously I thought it was scripted. You guys know that I made a mistake in the video. So obviously, you know, I'm pleased to hear that it's not. It's player dictated. But, you know, if you remember back as Battlefield 3, when we first saw Battlefield 3, we already saw a skyscraper fall. So we all got the little excitement and, oh my god, destruction's going to be insane on Frostbite 2. Well, we all know that we really didn't get that much destruction, and we certainly never really saw buildings fall like that. We eventually saw the Caspian Tower fall, but we all know that really has nothing to do with the gameplay. So that's kind of what I'm worried about here, is that these are mostly going to be showpiece kind of trailer segments. That's really it, and less to do about gameplay. Now, I feel confident that that's not the case. I don't want to go off too negative, because we know that that obviously moves that objective point, and we've heard that, you know, it changes some environmental things, obviously, like the dust will affect then the air combat onto the ground. We're told it's kind of going to shift the focus more to infantry, which you all know I am all for. So I think, in theory, big picture concept, they're going in the right direction. I'm very enthused by this, and I'm excited. There obviously are snags they can fall on. But I wanted to talk more about You know, not so much what changes the environment on the grand scale, like the dust and the visibility and a big, huge skyscraper falling. We've also heard, excuse me, a rumor about a map with a dam, that if you blow up this dam, probably much like the skyscraper, then that dam would flood, like, say, half the map, and obviously that would considerably change how that map plays. I hope that comes to fruition, because that would be pretty cool, and I think that would probably tie into a lot of the naval things they're going for, so that remains to be seen, of course, but, you know, I want to talk less about the big skyscraper things. I want to talk about the little things. Like I said, the metal detectors. You know, think about it. I'm a flanker. I like to combine force multipliers. I like to combine surprise with vulnerability. Basically, I'm on a flank. I'm using surprise to my advantage. So obviously, I have much more lethal that way. I'm attacking them where they're vulnerable. So that's another force multiplier on top of a force multiplier. You get the point. So that's a big thing for me. It's something I love to do. When you add in little things like metal detectors, smoke alarms, these types of things. So now I know that as I'm going down this escalator, I need to be more map aware. I need to know that at the bottom of these stairs, there's a metal detector. If I run through there with my RPG or M16 even, or, you know, who knows what the threshold's going to be, I'm going to set this off. Who knows, you know, maybe it makes an alert on the map. I don't know the finer details. Maybe somebody that's potentially an alpha could correct that for me. But you're going to alert the enemy to your presence. So you need to play smarter, which is something I'm always a proponent of. Something, you know, a direction I think would be very good for the series. So these little things I think are going to have, you know, you might just hear, you know, oh, a smoke detector or a metal detector more specifically. Not a big deal. It's just going to be kind of noise and audio. Think about that. It's also audio. So now maybe, you know, maybe at some degree you might want to set it off to kind of ruin the audio cues. I don't know. There's so many different layers here you can think about. One thing I particularly wanted to, well, two things actually. I'll talk about security gates. We saw this on, you know, those shop gates that people put up and down. We've seen that those are interactive. Those are dynamic. You can raise them, you can lower them, these types of things. So that's going to clearly affect, you know, I can cut through this building or not. Like, think about like Grand Bazaar, where, you know, you play on different modes. Some routes are literally fenced off. That's how it's going to be in some of these. You're going to be able to take that route if your team controls the building and thus can raise or lower the grates as you want. That's a good thing. It's a little thing, but I think these will have really big ripple effects across the map. The big thing for me, as you know, as far as in this little genre of smaller environmental elements, bridge control. As you know, I wanted the bridges to be destructible, and kind of that would be a good way to change the map and make it more dynamic. They've obviously gone a different route, which actually this I might concede that this might be a better way to go. We'll have to see how it plays out, because once you destroy a bridge, it's destroyed. The way they went were these, you know, interactive bollards. And for those of you who don't know, I don't know, most of you should. Bollards are these pilings that come up out of the ground, and they're meant for security to stop vehicles. And, you know, they're pretty powerful, obviously. I don't know if they would stop tanks, as we saw on the stream, where they were just completely running into them. But, you know, you gotta go a little loose there and let it for balance, basically. So basically, you have to run up, you have to interact with this little control panel, so the bollard is in favor of your team or not. If you turn it green, I think it is, your tanks then can progress. I think there's actually 2 on each bridge, correct me if I'm wrong. And basically, if your infantry are there to control these control panels, you then control the bridge. The enemy's armor cannot come across until they come and activate the control panel, of which obviously you could put snipers over Overwatch and things like this. So it makes the bridges a very functioning strategic objective, very much so. Otherwise, your armor is going to be just about useless. So we're going to probably, I'm guessing, see a lot of fighting over bridges and making them very tactical points of interest, as they should be, as we know they always are in the real world. And again, I do hesitate to bring the word real world in. But, you know, I think, you know, we're going to have our objective points, obviously, like you always do no matter what game mode you're playing. But I think you're going to have secondary, maybe unmarked objectives too, that are going to help you get the job done. Maybe they're going to be routes through a specific building using security grates. As long as they're up, you can get a nice rush. If the enemy controls it, drops the grates, the defenders might now have a better, you know, you might have to take a longer route around. Or you might have to go through an open square that's going to make you sniper bait. That kind of thing. We're going to have bridges, so you're going to have to control those to get your armor across and stop the enemy armor. I really like this because it enhances the symbiotic kind of relationship between infantry and armor. You know, armor can't do it all. You can't get a god tanker that can just dominate. He's going to need some support from infantry to get in there and enable him to cross bridges and these types of things, which is something I always like. I like them to be complementary to each other, obviously. I don't want one to be able to dominate the other. And I think everybody agrees on that. These are the type of things I get excited about, where I can come in and I can get a little creative and think about, well, you know what? If me and my squad go and do this, they might not realize, but it's going to give us a nice advantage. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, we also have the wild card out there, which is dynamic weather, which we've seen some hints at, but we haven't heard any information about. Now, is that something maybe they're keeping in their pocket for, you know, like, let's say, end of August wow factor? You just release this out and be like, oh my god, blow everybody's minds again. I don't know. That remains to be seen. You know, the dust on, you know, when the skyscraper falls and now it's dusty, that is somewhat to that, you know, dynamic weather effect. Are we going to see rain and things? These obviously won't be controllable per se, but they could add to more dynamic environments, obviously. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think is going to have the biggest effect? Obviously, like I said, I mentioned the dam, we have the skyscraper, and who knows what else we'll see as far as big showpiece items. But do you think that's going to affect it? Or do you think the littler things, like the metal detectors, the bollards, the security grates, is going to have a bigger effect? Because I'm curious to hear what you guys have to think. Like always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you're having a good day. I will talk to you soon. Take care.